Don Barrington was cautious by nature, so he was sceptical at first. His friend Dave had shown it to him in a bar after work. "You don't have to murder anyone yourself," Dave had said, bringing it up on his phone. "It's called perfect crime, not murder anyway." "So what's the point of it?" Don asked. "It's just really funny. It suggests some ultra cool ways to kill people without leaving a trace. Not just cliches like ice daggers that melt, but amazing poisons, clever ways to make murder look like accidents. All sorts of methods." Dave gave a little giggle. "But if no one's going to actually use them, what's the point?" "It's got this brilliant database. It's amazing." Dave put down his beer and fixed Don with his best salesman smile. "You can type in the name of someone you know and it'll come up with all sorts of places the person visits and when they visit there and what they buy, so you can choose the best time and place to bump them off. Tells you all sorts of other things as well, all the little details, all the dark stuff." "How on earth can it do that?" Don scoffed. Truth be told, Don found Dave just a little too unrefined, gung-ho and vigorous at times. "Face recognition data, linked CCTV cameras, and all the other sorts of info data that's washing about on the net. Club card points, invoices, that sort of thing. You'd be surprised how big your digital footprint is. If you don't know the name of the person you want to kill, then all you have to do is take a picture of them and feed the app. Usually, it will give you the name and all the sordid stuff you need. That's why perfect crime is so popular. If you're bored on a journey, you can dig the dirt on people around you. Of course, no one actually uses it to murder people. They just have a laugh with it. It's not a cheap laugh, not at that price. You're buying a lot of information. I've heard that personnel departments are buying into it too now. It's a lot cheaper than digging the dirt yourself. Perfect crime equals due diligence for a lot of firms these days." Don wasn't convinced. He shook his head as if he knew better. Dave wasn't to be denied, though. "Look, let's try it out now." "What, in this bar?" Don looked round. "We'll get beaten up if anyone catches you taking pictures of them in here." "I'm pretty skilled at the covert photo. I've had plenty of practice since I got this toy. You watch." In the next few minutes, Dave proceeded to capture on his mobile phone 3 surprisingly high-quality portraits of their fellow drinkers. "Now for the naughty bit," he smirked. The initial results were disappointing. The first 2 pictures weren't recognised by Perfect Crime, which asked for more data before it could furnish the proposal for their perfect murder. But the 3rd picture hit the bullseye. His name was Edward Snow, 44 years old, address Aldersea Road, Guildford, occupation commodities trader. Perfect Crime suggested murdering him on a Thursday evening, as that was the time when he told his wife he was working late, but in fact he regularly met another woman called Stephanie Owen on Thursdays at 7:30 in the pub called Nobs in Cannon Street, London. Dave spread his hands and smiled. "Ta-da! See what I mean? It's 7:25 on a Thursday evening, we're in Nobs, and I predict that our man over there is going to be joined by a female who is not his wife in approximately 5 minutes. "Hang on a sec." Don wasn't just naturally cautious, he liked to think he had a forensic mind. How on earth could this app company know that this man told his wife that he would be working late? Don't tell me it's got microphones under everyone's beds. "Duh, text messages, obviously." Dave laughed. "They keep all the text messages somewhere in that cloud storage." Don still wasn't convinced. Sounds like one of your elaborate practical joke apps to me. "Don't take my word for it then. But if we see Stephanie Owen walk in that door in the next few minutes, will you believe me then?" Bang on cue, an attractive woman dressed in jeans and an expensive quilted jacket walked into Nobs and kissed the man identified as Edward Snow on the cheek as if they were old friends meeting for the first time in months. Don looked into his beer. We didn't need an app for that. The giveaway was that he had a chilled Chardonnay next to his pint. And these people you call Snow and Owen, what proof have you got of their names? You don't give up, do you? Dave rolled his eyes in mock exasperation. Watch this. He winked, got off his bar stool, and ambled over to where the woman was taking her first sip, chilled Chardonnay. Edward Snow, isn't it? And Stephanie Owen. Fancy meeting you two here. Dave put his hand out to Edward Snow. Edward Snow, obviously flustered, didn't take Dave's proffered hand, but got to his feet. I'm afraid I don't know you. Stephanie Owen was more decisive. She got up and snarled at Dave. Go away! And then fiercely she grabbed Snow. Come on, let's get out of here. As they burst through the door to the street, Don heard her use the words private detective. Dave returned to his bar stool laughing. See what I mean? This app is a whole bundle of fun. Not for that couple, it wasn't. Dave sounded dismissive, but he didn't mean it. He picked up Dave's phone. He wanted to learn more. Hey, don't point that lethal weapon at me. Dave was kidding, but Don got the point. Sure, he was impressed by perfect crime. Name of the murder target: Saul Grigson. Relevant identifying details of target: address Littleworth Road, Esher, Surrey. Your relationship to target: he is my boss. Any motives for murdering target that might identify you as the killer? I want his job. He's an irritating, smug git. His wife is smug too. When do you want to kill the target? ASAP. How physically fit are you on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is bedbound? 7. Of course, once the app had digested the first questions and had identified the target, it asked a host of other questions, some of which Don thought willfully obscure. But he had to admit it was thorough, and it came up with a fascinating picture of Smug Bastard. The murder plan it provided was so beautiful and so tempting, it was almost worth carrying it out. Don Barrington was a cautious man, but he was the sort of man who, once he was convinced, was always utterly committed. He needed to think long and hard. Detective Ford of Surrey CID and his probationary assistant, Mead, were called to the address in Littleworth Road, even though it was clear to the neighbourhood policeman that it was caused by a tragic accident. Poor Mr. Grigson's electrocution had been caused by some faulty wiring in his den in the shed at the bottom of his garden. There had been some electrical problems and Mr. Grigson had called in a local firm. They seemed to have sorted it out, but then this. It was a tragedy, although the firm were adamant that they'd wired things correctly. What do you think, Mead? They'd checked for foul play, but the gate at the end of the garden had yielded no clues, and the shed was clean of anything suspicious. Well, could be that the wiring firm screwed things up, sir, but just a little too perfect. That's what you were going to say, weren't you? Like it could be a perfect crime. Well, could be, sir. Look, sir, I've got this new app on my phone. It's called Sherlock. It's got this amazing database, probably dodgy legality, but it claims to solve 75% of all murder cases. You just feed in all the details of the murder and it tells you how it was done and who did it. It's made by the firm that developed the app Perfect Crime, and they're offering Sherlock exclusively to serving policemen. Can we try it out, sir?